Hi, John. A very good morning for you. So it's actually afternoon for us here. We are the students of the Mohawk College, business analyst students from Hamilton. So this call includes my colleagues Lynn, Anrup, and Arjit, as well as myself. So we will be recording this meeting for our internal references. So our project aims to conduct a detailed feasibility assessment for the establishment of a men's shed in Hamilton, Ontario. So the initiative tackles the essential need for mental health services among middle-aged men, a group with a high risk for suicide. The mentioned activities-based programs aim to reduce social isolation, improve healthy help-seeking habits, and ultimately prevent suicide. So are we good to go today?
Yeah,
Th-
hopefully I can help you.
Thank you so much for taking this time and on accepting the invite on such short notice, actually.
Well,
Uh,
timing worked out really well because this would have been last week, we were in Kelowna. And the
oh,
reason why we have a new computer is we could not access the Wi-Fi there with our old computer.
oh my God. Then we are in luck today.
Yeah.
Okay. So without further ado, so I will introduce my colleague Anrup. He is going to ask questions to acquire a thorough understanding of how the men should work in British Columbia. Anrup, it's up to you.
Hi, Jan. Considering your experience, let me just straight up jump into the questions firstly. So, what have been the key milestones of the development of men's sheds in British Columbia?
Oh, this is all part of the questionnaires that you sent me?
Yep, we already gave you a copy of the questionnaire, so
Yeah, I wrote it all out very, very
oh, that's
nicely. And
actually good.
so you went a little, now are you in the order of what you asked?
Yep, this should be the first question. What have been the key milestones of the development of men's sheds in BC?
That wasn't on there.
Oh, we might have added it, I guess, then later on. On top of your head, what would you say if you had to say something?
Okay, just try that one again, then that way I'll pay attention. I can't multitask.
All right,
I'm old.
shooting again. What have been the key milestones of the development of men's sheds in British Columbia?
Well, it the biggest problem is that men face a lot of loneliness after they retire, and it gives them a purpose in life again with doing projects and getting together, and um, it helps with suicide prevention and all sorts of different things.
Mm-hmm. That was good. And jumping into the operations and management questions, like how these questions you probably might have them already. So how are the men's sheds in BC typically structured and managed? Are there any common organizational models, or does each shed operate independently?
Min sheds are structured and managed in a few ways. Um, if you become a not-for-profit society, you'll need to have a president, secretary, and treasurer. So you need to have a board.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need to keep minutes. Each shed needs to. Sorry, just so you know, I have dyslexia, so I'm
No
reading
worries. Yeah,
something and
yeah,
it's
take your
very
time.
difficult. Um, each shed needs to have a constitution, bylaws, and code of conduct. However, they do not need to invent the wheel because established sheds already have them, and like they can just tweak them a little bit for their own needs. Independently, each shed can set their own member dues. What they do at their shed has also independent, as each shed and each member chooses the activities they want to do or be involved in. Each shed is encouraged to join MSABC and MSABC and Minshed Canada.
Okay,
I
so
did the,
MS,
I did, I had struggled a little bit with the reading, but I think you understand
yeah,
where
yeah,
I'm
we
coming
get
from.
the whole gist of it. So MSA BC, like, is it like a board for men's sheds in BC?
Minshed Association of British Columbia.
Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, coming to the next question. What strategies have been most effective in recruiting and retaining volunteers for men's sheds in BC?
Everybody is welcome. Doesn't matter what religion, education, or economic background, um, do not matter. Getting mayors and council on board helps as they ask. They're starting to ask for the outreach program now, which we are doing in different communities. Health authorities encouraging sheds or endorsing sheds is very important as they recognize the value of the men's sheds and can have on men's mental health. Um, Advertising via posters, Facebook, radio, and word of mouth, giving purpose to being a member of a shed, involvement in the community, comrades, combat loneliness and isolation, a place to go to socialize and connect with each or with other men without judgment. Sorry, I do struggle with this. So just so you know,
No
if
worries.
you would have been doing this with me 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, I would not be doing any of this because I was so ashamed of it and everything. I've hid it for basically well over 65 years and didn't want anybody to know because of how much stuff I went through as a child and growing up and like the abuse I went through with it. So this is what the Minshet has done for me. I'm capable of doing this. I don't feel ashamed of it anymore. Um, and I do struggle still.
That's good to hear. Um, the next question is, what types of activities and programs have proven most popular and beneficial within the sheds?
Gathering for coffee or meals. Um, we do webinars on men's mental health, such as prostate cancer and more. Building things such as birdhouses, toys, and more. Um, in some sheds, the repair of items such as snow blowers, lawnmowers, lamps, etc. Two sheds in BC have a reuse store where they get stuff donated and they some stuff has to be repaired, but they sell it and give back to the community. Conferences and visits to other sheds.
Thanks. And jumping into the funding and resources questions now. So the first one would be, what are the primary sources of initial funding? Like if you had to start a men's shed brand new, are there any specific grants for funding bodies you recommend targeting?
So at this particular time, there is $1,000 startup grant available to all new sheds. This can be used to help with the following: pay for fees charged to register as a non-for-profit society, open a bank account, pay for insurance. Once your shed, once you are established shed, these there are project grants available, um, and or sorry, or you can just apply for grants that you can find locally yourself.
Okay, so the $1,000 grant you just talk about, is it like specific to British Columbia or is it like nationwide?
Audrey, do you know anything about that startup grant? If it's nationwide or just yeah,
And Heritage Canada has been funding BC.
Yeah, HelpAge Canada and United Way has been funding BC. So the startup $1,000 startup grant is actually coming from HelpAge Canada.
Okay, thanks for that. And how do men's sheds typically sustain their operations financially in the long term? What sources of income are most reliable?
Uh, Doing little, like, just most of them, it's all about doing little woodwork projects and um, like community service and stuff like that, helping out the community. Ask, like that they give a donation to and stuff like that. I went and looked or went down to a few different sheds in the Okanagan area last week,
Mhm.
and we've seen how they get involved with the community. It's all about trying to do something for the community, and hopefully that you can generate a little bit of money to keep your shed going.
Mhm. So this is so you mean basically it's like shed specific, not like a whole organization.
Every shed operates completely independently
Okay.
with how what they do. I mean, some of them don't even have a building space or anything like that, so they just get together for coffee.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it. And then I'm going into the community and partnerships questions. So, what types of community and civic partnerships have been most beneficial for men's sheds in BC? And can you please provide any example of successful collaborations?
Do you recognize that question, Audrey? I don't recognize that one. So can you run that one by me again, and I'll just try. It's,
Yeah, no problem, no
sorry.
problem. No worries. So, what type of community and civic partnerships? So, this is basically about the partnerships, have been most beneficial for men's sheds in BC.
Yeah, okay, the health authorities, local government, with different type of things. Um, we have a crisis center here in the community. They have sent some people that really need to have some help, and they come help out. Even at the school, they've asked us. We have this student that has this and this problem. Do you think you could have him come in and spend some time in the shed with you?
Mhm. And could you please provide any example of like successful collaborations, like with the schools or like the governing bodies, anything like that?
Well, one of our shed members here in Fraser Lake,
Hmm.
he's an ex woodworking teacher.
Hmm.
So this this one particular person, he was struggling with school and everything like that, and but he liked working with his hands. So they had asked if he could come in and if he could work with him in the back in our shop, and the answer was yes, and it really benefited this particular student.
Right, that's good to hear. Okay, I'm going on to the next question. What strategies have been effective in reaching out to the men in the community and encouraging them to join a men's shed?
Word of mouth, being seen, volunteering, and giving back to their communities, conferences, um, outreach programs in the community that do not have men's sheds, feeling self worth because you're now making a difference um, in your community and connecting with other men.
Thanks for that. Now I'm going into the location and facilities questions. So the first question there is, what factors are most important when selecting a location for a new men's shed, and are there common challenges faced in this process?
So okay, each community faces common unique challenges. Finding a space that is free or low cost is very difficult. Most sheds are created because someone feels the need in one of their communities. Once an outreach program has been presented, you need to have someone to take the list and sorry, you need somebody to take the contact list, um, of the attendees and then get the ball rolling. Sometimes you need to do a follow up to make sure that everything is going smoothly with that.
Mm-hmm. So, are there any challenges you face when like setting up a men's shed?
It's usually nobody wants to take the lead,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to have it, but they don't want to feel responsible to take the lead on it.
Okay, so
There's always excuses that they don't have time, they don't, they don't, there's always, like that's one of the biggest ones is try get somebody to say, I'm going to take the lead of it and we're going to get this going.
basically it's a responsibility issue. That's what you're defining, right? Like
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah. Once we go into the community, I've done quite a few of these already, the outreach programs with a PowerPoint presentation. They all, yes, 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 we want to get one going. We're still struggling quite bad in one community. The mayor and the councilor really want to get it going. There's a couple other people in town that really want to get it going, but nobody's willing to take the lead on it. So we're struggling. But most of the communities have been really good that there is somebody that is willing, and like there's two communities right up here within a month they have their society name, they have applied for the startup grant, they've done everything they need to do, and got a Facebook page post going and all these type of things.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going on to the next question. Did you have any support from the government for the men's shed location? If yes, what would be the process?
Do we have any support from the government? The answer to that is really no. There's
No?
no financial support. They the government now, like the local governments, like anytime like I was at North Central Local Government Conference, we had a table there. MSABC had a table there, and a lot of these mayors and councilors would come up to me and we need to get one in our community. We need to get one in our community, but there's no funding coming from the government, and that would be a really nice thing if we could get funding to help us
Mm-hmm.
and help them get started. And not only so much help them get started, some of them struggle with where are we going to have it because they can't afford to pay for rent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, if I were to ask, what are the basic facility requirements for a men's shed? Are there any particular amenities or resources that are essential?
um, Most men's sheds have a little workshop. They're mostly all woodworking things that they do. So so you need to have a space where you can put in power equipment for doing woodworking tools. So that's quite a bit of different things you need. So the trick is to try find that particular space so you can do that. But I mean, some of them have welding, some of them, like I always say, in our shed we have a welder, electrical engineer, a woodworking teacher, mechanics, and we all get together and we learn from one another with doing little projects.
Okay, thanks for that. And I'm going into the next thing, which is impact and evaluation. First question would be, how do you measure the success and impact of men's sheds on members' mental health and social connectedness?
You measure success by how connected each man is to their sheds and each other. As new friendships are formed, self worth and mental health grows. Um, New communities are asking to have one started in their community, being recognized by health authorities, provincial governments, and federal governments are recognizing men's sheds now. Grants and funding and endowments are happening in recognition of the importance of men's sheds. Examples is like Help Age Canada, United Way, and others. Research is being conducted by universities as the importance of the role of min sheds can play in men's mental health.
Thanks for that. And then could you share any specific case studies or success stories from men's sheds apart from the school thing you just mentioned? Like, do you have anything else that might serve as an inspiration or models for a new men's shed in Hamilton?
Okay, this one's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk about myself. I mentioned a slight little bit there in the beginning. Um, as a child, growing up with dyslexia, I was made fun of. I was bullied, harassed. I went through physical abuse from my father and mental abuse from my father. Teachers didn't understand what it was when we were kids. So kids always made fun of me. So I suffered real big time from depression, anxiety, um, and I did this through my whole life. And never spoke up in public because, like today I read things to you. I would not have been able to do that a few years ago. And I'm capable of doing all of this because of first the support we had from our local men's shed in Fraser Lake. And, like there was a couple guys that took me under their wings and made me feel like I was self worthwhile with different things and stuff like that. And 3 years ago, when we were at the only men's shed conference we had in BC, I went there with the former teacher, and he kept asking me, "Do I want to speak up? Do I want to talk about myself?" The answer always was no, because I am so ashamed of who I was my whole life. And then there was a question asked, if I was to start a men's shed, and somebody asked, what could a men's shed do for me? I looked at the person I was there with, and I says, I'm going to answer that question. And my anxiety kicked in big time, but I answered that question, and I basically told everybody where I was and where I am today. And what I'm doing today is strictly because of what the Min Shed has done for me. Not only was I told all my life I was worthless and would never add up to anything, I am now on the or on the BC Minshed board. Not only as a director, I'm actually the president of MSA BC. And I met my wife 25 years ago or 26 years ago. She's the first person that ever mentioned the word dyslexic to me. And basically, my answer to her was I was stupid because that's what I was told all my life. She said I could do things. I always thought, okay, she's just being nice. But once I got the support from the guys here at the Men's Shed in Fraser Lake, and not only from that, but the men all over BC, it is that's how it changed my life. There's another person I could talk about too, but this is just my experience. I know there's been many more like me.
That was quite inspirational, and we honestly thank you for sharing your personal story with us. Yeah. Um, Jumping into the last question for today. What are the most common challenges faced by men's sheds, and how have sheds in BC overcome these challenges?
I think the biggest challenge they're having is finding a place where they can have a shed that they can work in together and do things together and be able to financially afford it. Uh, That's like when I was in the Okanagan, the Kelowna shed. They've had to move, I think he said, 4 times within the last 5 years, and they're in the back of a barn right now.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think he said that they were paying any rent. They were lucky that this person helped them out. They've only been in there a short little while, but that's the biggest problem, is finding a place that you can afford and where you can meet together and do projects or just sit around and drink coffee and like have a meal together or something like that.
If you were to rank, which one do you think is more difficult, like finding a place or finding the funding for the men's shed?
They go hand in hand.
And then, right.
You know, like we're lucky here. We're one of the ones that have the reuse store, so we generate money.
Mhm.
Um, Looking in at a lot of the other sheds, they don't have that type of funding to generate the same type of way. And fortunately, a lot of them in the Fraser Valley, they were lucky to find a place for free, but it's only temporary. And one of these days, they're going to come bulldoze everything down, and now it's going to be trying to find another place. If somehow or another we could get the funding to get a permanent home, like we're struggling with that, and even in Fraser Lake, where the place is up for sale, and if it sells and somebody else goes in it, there's nowhere else in town that we can afford. So that's like I said, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I totally get it what you mean now. Yeah, that should be the end of the questions, and I'm now gonna pass it on to my teammate Aditya. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Philman. Jan, we would like to thank you so much for taking out your time out of your busy schedule to speak with us. We got a lot of information from you, a lot of notes. And for now, I would like to ask if you have any question for us.
Well, my what I was kind of curious with is what do you plan on doing with what you're getting out of this? Like, are you going to be taking it to the government, or is it just something that you're going to do a report with, and then look into how maybe funding or whatever can be arranged from anywhere across Canada once, like I said, the biggest thing is governments are starting to understand us, but for them to say like we had one of our MPs at one of our outreach programs, and his direct answer is, I do not have any capability of funding to help you. And I would like to see that changed. And I don't know if a study like this would help with something like that.
Mhm.
Uh, okay, go ahead, Philman.
You go ahead. You go ahead. Got it.
So with the information we got from you, we can't really give you a direct answer. Maybe it's going to go to the government, or maybe we're still working on it. But in regards to next step, we, however we choose, however we are going to use this information, we will also notify you as well. I don't know. Maybe Philman can come in if you want to add more things to that.
Yeah, that is what exactly I wanted to say. Actually.
Okay. So in terms of next step, we will be sending you an email as well to notify you about the next step as well on how we use the information. We will let you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess we've reached the end of our meeting. And on behalf of my team and I, we would just like to say a very big thank you for sharing your amazing experience, for giving us a valuable insight as well. We do appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Thank you once again, John, for taking the time and giving us the in-depth knowledge about the men's shed. So we will be reaching out to you just in case if we have any more questions. So you can just
Okay.
respond to them. And then if you want to talk to us, you already have my phone number. Or if you want to talk to any of our professor or something, I can just provide the professor's emails and the number as well.
So, so the reason why I'll tell you why I'm a little uncomfortable with speaking is um, my last grade that I passed in school was grade 6, and my dad dragged me out of school because I failed grade 7, and he wanted me to do something that I didn't want to do. So, you know, speaking to a bunch of people that have gone to university and all these other type of things, I try really hard to do things. My wife helps me with writing things, answers, and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you giving me all the questions beforehand. Um, because I would be like, as you noticed, anything that it was nothing with, I struggled with answering, and it's just just the way I am. So, um, I like I said, to me, the men's sheds have taken me from a person that was basically on the edge of suicide to where I am today, and still pinching myself to say, is this really happening?
That's really good to hear, and it's totally fine. I mean, like, not everyone is a socializing person. Not everyone talks to everyone, and we are totally fine with it.
That's good.
Thank you so
So does
much.
this mean you're going to come out to Fraser Lake and have a look around and see what a men's shed's all about? You
We,
actually are. There's some in Ontario that you can go to.
I mean, we could.
Yeah, they're like I said, they're all different. They're all unique in their own way.
Mhm.
Yes, might be in December. I might come, so I'll just keep in touch with you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you so much.
You're
Have a
welcome.
nice day.
You have a good
Have a
day.
great day ahead.
You too.
Yep. Okay. Bye.
Bye bye. I guess I'll just send you the meeting recording.
Yeah.
We'll just go through and then we'll complete it, and we'll send it to the whole group.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
you.
Have a good day.
we send
And you too.
note later.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.